So, wasn't that a beautiful song? So let me tell you a little bit about how this works, how it should work. Is, I came up with a theme for my talk, and then I send the theme to Kay, and she is so wonderful. And she picks out songs for today's presentation. And little Chris immediately well, is that a good song? Does that explain what I want to explain? And I try to control it. Right? We all do that, don't we? We all want to control what's happening. And so today's topic is force or flow. Are you trying to force your life? Or are you trusting the flow? And ironically, I sit there and when I calm down and I let that little Chris shut the heck up, and I sit there and I listen for the whisper, and I listen to the lyrics that Kay has picked. I'm like, oh my gosh, she has indeed captured exactly what I wanted to say. So this story here is, are you forcing things? Was I trying to control things? Or do I let go and let God? Do I let go and let God? And so I wanted to talk about where I learned this, and I'm still practicing, because it is a practice, is it not? Every bloody day, right? All the time. I'm like, okay, maybe it should be this song. And I go, no, it's the perfect song. And she picked a fantastic song for after the meditation. I'm so excited. But it's a constant challenge, right? Where we say, wait a minute, God, is this what's supposed to happen to me? Is this the way it's supposed to be? And so what I wanted to talk to you about, and the reason I wanted to quote Emerson, is because I think that we have gotten away from the power of nature. And nature has become my messenger. Nature has become my messenger of how I see God. How I see God unfold. And how do I learn? Have you heard, spiritual lessons? What is a spiritual lesson? It's all in nature. Nature tells us what we need to know. And, when you think about force or flow, the image of flow, what do you think? Water, right? The flow of water, the natural flow. And they talk about how water goes in and out of the rocks. It weaves in and out. It finds a way. Because nature finds a way. That is a spiritual truth. God will find a way for you. And when you learn to listen to the little whispers. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you, I want to thank you for coming. There's so many people here that have come from my art retreats and from all different paths of my life, my art markets and stuff like that. Thank you for being here. So I want to share this story that I wrote in my book. And it was a wonderful story about really when I started recognizing the power of nature. So I wrote a book about the spiritual process and the art process, and it's about how to get into that state of flow. How do you get there? How do you get to that state of letting things just happen? How do you get there? And I realized that some days I get there easily. Some days it's easy, and some days not so much. And so I wrote out a book with each chapter outlining ways that we get into flow. So we're not going to talk about the whole book, but we are going to talk about nature. And I want to share a story that comes from the book, and it ties into Emerson. One day, I would go to Santa Fe. I still do once a year, and I paint for a week with some close friends or by myself. And one year, a friend of mine, and she's actually here in this room, she came to our painting retreat, and she brought in this cantaloupe. And she said, I bought this at the market. I bought this at the farmer's market. I was like, okay, right? And, I wanted to paint. I wanted to get to work, right? But we cut that cantaloupe, and she laid it out on a plate, and it was beautiful. And I have to tell you, it was I say this in all sincerity, the most fantastic cantaloupe that I ever ate. It was the best cantaloupe I ever ate. I mean, you know how when you cut a cantaloupe that's perfectly ripe, that fragrance comes out at you? And you're like, wow, this is what they're supposed to taste like, right? And I thought, they don't taste like this in Dallas. Why do they not taste like that in Dallas? Well, there's many reasons. But I started to ponder it, and there was this beautiful courtyard. And in Santa Fe, everybody has a beautiful courtyard. It's just what you have. And I sat out there in that courtyard with a little table, and I bit into that cantaloupe, and I thought, isn't this amazing? What made it that? What made this cantaloupe so amazing? And I thought, how did it know? I mean, do you ever think about that? How did it know when you plant that little seed? How did it know to send a root down? Why didn't the root go up? And I've pondered this. This is what you do in Santa Fe. And I didn't even have any strange mushrooms. But how did that root know to go down? How did the leaves know to unfurl? Why did they have that perfect shape that attracted the sunlight so well? Why did they grow into the soil and spread? Why did they know to climb across the ground and create this beautiful melon? And how did it know that the sun would make it grow? And how did it know to have that wonderful rind that kept it safe from the soil and held it above? And I started thinking about that, and I thought, there's an intelligence here, right? This is someone that spent some of his life not believing in God. And I thought, there's an intelligence behind all this. And this intelligence is telling this cantaloupe, it actually has it in it. It's built in, right? That cantaloupe, you plant that little seed and it goes, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow it. And it just goes off, and it goes off on a path, and it follows the path, and it becomes this beautiful fruit that I'm holding. And I was like, there was an intelligence in it. And that's why I thought, wait a minute. There is indeed an intelligence all around us, isn't there? And I labeled it intelligence of being. There's an intelligence of being, because we're all being something, aren't we? But what we forget, or rather I'll personalize it, what I forget is to trust the intelligence. And so when I was a kid, I went hither and thither. Someone told me that I should be in business, I should be in sales, and I just followed what people told me. How many of you are just following right now what you were told to do? But you know something, just like that cantaloupe, there's an intelligence in you that is telling you, hey, you were born here. You're on this planet for a specific reason. I want you to just take a minute, close your eyes, and say that. I was born here for a particular reason. My gifts are totally unique from everyone else. Just breathe that in. Now, you are a unique, individualized expression of spirit. You're here to experience life with other spirit. That is why you're here. You're here to let that intelligence of being come out, come forth, and grow. But you have to listen. Listen for the whisper. Listen for life directing you. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So I started realizing that nature symbolizes all these spiritual lessons, doesn't it? It grows in a certain direction. It has creative DNA. I call that's my term, by the way, creative DNA. That means it's totally unique. And it knows how to make the cantaloupe work. And it knows how to make each and every one of you totally unique. And so what I want to do, what my message is for you, is that there is no one else. There never will be. There never will be another one of you. Nancy, that's it. You're the one of a kind. And embrace that. Embrace that. You are one of a kind. There is no one else. Pam, there's no one else like you. Dang sure, right? There's no one else. And so we need to embrace it. And I want to tell you something. What I realized that was really interesting, I'm going to take a little segue. We fall into a trap. And once again, I say we, and I mean I. I fall into a trap when I get older. As I age, well, it's too late now. Right? Oh, it's too late. I didn't do that. You know what? That intelligence of spirit, it changes and it shifts within you. It always lets that creative DNA out. Did you hear that? It always lets the creative DNA out. So I'm going to share something that I realized, and I've told this to some of the people that come on my art retreat. As I've aged, I have a tremor. And here I am. I've spent 15 years practicing to be an artist, and I tremor. And my immediate little Chris response is, well, I guess painting's out. Guess painting isn't my creative expression. That's not what I'm meant to do. But you know what? I realized that I developed ways to paint despite that. Despite that. And I remember talking to a group, an art group once, and an older woman, I think she was like 86, she said, you know, I have that too. But now I use scissors, and I cut tissue, and I make these incredible collages. And I thought, isn't that amazing? So don't let your age, no matter what age you are, it's not over. Frankly, it's not over until it's over, man, until you're done, until you're gone, until you're not here. You are a creative being all the way. There is no end to that. So I realized I had developed ways of painting. I hold a brush sideways. Instead of doing a nice straight line, I do a sideways stroke, and I get a straight edge when I want it. And I also realized, you know what? Even the belief system that it had to have a straight edge was a limiting belief system. Who says that art has to have a straight edge? There's a lot of messy, loose art, right? So all those lessons, listening to those whispers, listening to Spirit tell me, you can do this, you can be this. There is no limit, there is no end. It is not over. It is not over. You're always having chances to explore this uniqueness of you. But most importantly, what I want to share with you today is, isn't that a relief? Yes. Isn't that a relief? Think about it. You don't have to fight. We're taught in America, fight, you got to get that job, and you got to compete with other people, and then you got to be the best, and then you got to get the top paying job, and then you have to be the best salesman, and then you have to fight to find a house, and then you have to fight to have fun, and you have to find the best neighborhood for your children, and you have to raise them with the best nanny, and right? And God is saying, I've given you a pattern of perfection. I've given you a pattern of perfection. Isn't that wonderful? And you just have to listen for it. And so as I've gotten older, I'm listening. And you know what? It's not, and I want to share one other thing. It's not always easy. It's not easy. I'll tell you, I want to share something really funny with you. When I was in college and people were picking careers, people would say, you should be in advertising. And I was like, no. And the reason being, I remember watching Bewitched, right? And I remember Darren up there with his boards. And Tate, do you remember Tate saying, that sucks, what are you thinking, what are you thinking? And there's this shame in standing up in front of people. And I said, I don't ever want to stand in front of people. So what happened? Yes. But you know what's funny? God, Spirit said, you will stand in front of people. And I was like, no, I'm not going to stand in front of people. And I did a career where I was at a desk and I was safe. And then suddenly I had to stand in front of people. And every job I've ever had, everywhere I go, I'm being ushered to stand in front of other people. And it's not easy. You know, I go through a process every time. Last night, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to stand in front of people. Oh my God. So you know what the trick is? You step into God. That's all I can do. That's all you can do. So here I am. I'm on the stage, and I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to Kay's wonderful song, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I did it again. I can't believe it. I got to stand up there and tell people how I think and how I feel. It's very vulnerable. It's very scary. But you know what? I'm going to just step into spirit. Step into spirit. And when you do, and it's what I teach my artists when they create, when you step into that place, the creation happens. You don't have to worry about what the painting will be. You don't have to worry about what I'm going to say. I step into that feeling, and it happens. And you have that. We all have that. So all you have to do, and what we're going to do today a little later, is we're going to pick something that you want. All you have to do is set the intent and say, this is what I want in my life. This is the gift I was given, and God, I'm ready to do it. Can we switch that quote slide? So, Ralph Waldo Emerson, this just wanted you to see this one more time, because this is really what we're talking about, the nature of God, the nature of God. And you have that all the time. If you ever feel alone without that spiritual guidance, you just listen to nature. You know, and even if the nature is the glow of the lights in this room, and you see light emanating out, and there's a law of electricity making that light blend out, and it's lighting this soft, and you notice the shadow on the arm, you are stepping into seeing God. And so there is a soul at the center of nature and over the will of every person, so that none of us can wrong the universe. Place yourself in the middle of the stream of power and wisdom which flows into you as life. And so there's two layers to this. Place yourself in the middle of the stream means do what you're made to do. Let the flow happen. What are you holding off? What are you holding away from yourself right now that you can embrace? Let it out. But also step into spirit. So the stream of life is spirit. So not only can you address and say, you know what, I want this, I want that. This is my intent. I hold the intent, and then you step into God, and it'll happen. That's the thing. That's the magic, right? You don't have to make it. You don't have to force it. That should be what I want you to leave when you go out there today is go, wow, I don't have to do crap. I just have to sit here, hold my intention, and listen to who I am, and let it out. You have to have a little bravery. You have to be courageous. You have to be willing to stand in front of people with shaking with a tremor. You have to stand in front of people and talk, you know. But God's got you. Spirit's got you. So I love this quote. The full center of that flow, then you are without effort impelled to truth, right, and perfect contentment. What is Emerson saying? What is he saying? You are without effort impelled to truth, right, and perfect contentment is saying abundance. You will have abundance if you do this. If you let that essence of you out, that unique essence, abundance will come. You don't have to make it come. Security will come. Peace will come. Contentment, satisfaction, all that just steps right into place. Right? Isn't that great? And so look at nature for your example. Always look toward nature and go out and see, oh, wow, look how those birds have, I'm amazed by the crows. I don't know if any of you follow crows. People either love crows or don't, but they are smart birds. Very smart birds. But they flock together, right? They kind of work as a team. So a spiritual law, a spiritual truth is we need companions. We need each other. And when we group with each other, when we learn to share with each other and work as a team, there is abundance, just like crows. There's a truth right there in nature, you know? And then when you see those cantaloupes and you see them in the ground, I want to share this spiritual truth. I also realized, remember I said earlier, well, you don't have cantaloupe like that in Texas. You also realize the spiritual truth is you have to put yourself in the right place. Texas climate might not be the best climate for a cantaloupe. So what you do, whatever your dream is, open the door, put yourself in the right place for it to happen. That's what nature does. So that there's a spiritual truth right there with that cantaloupe. And if that means moving to another state or another city or leaving a job or getting out of that relationship or getting into a relationship, whatever it means to make that bloom and grow, you do it, because that's the spiritual truth of it. So I have one more quote here that I love, because I wanted to show you that there's this strong history through our traditions of New Thought. This is from Eric Butterworth, Unity minister, and it's called Spiritual Economics. It's two words we don't really like to put together, right? Spiritual and economic, what the heck is that? But that's exactly what this is about, isn't it? When you step into spirit, when you let your true gifts out, when you let that creative intelligence that is you flow, you are economically prosperous. So, here's what he says. Each of us is an individualized expression of the creative process, no matter how circumstances have obscured the reality. The great need is to help us to know this for ourselves, to claim our own entitlement from within. When persons in poverty begin to really know, that they are a center within an affluent universe, then in ways of personal motivation, ingenuity, guidance, and the unfoldment of opportunities, the whole universe will soon be rushing, streaming, pouring in from all sides. He's saying the same thing. The glorious truth is that you are a very special person. The glorious truth is that you are a very special person. Every one of us. Everybody on this planet. Everybody. And you always have something special working within you, flowing through you. The whole universe is on your side. Feel good, doesn't it? Life is forever biased on the side of healing, on the side of overcoming, on the side of success. Life wants you to be successful. Look at it out there. Better or worse, every time I use Roundup and try to kill the weeds, those little suckers keep coming back. Life is powerful. It wants to live, and it wants to live through you. When you get yourself centered in the universal flow, you become synchronized with this divine bias for good. Amazing things can and will unfold. Some will call them miracles, but you will accept them as the perfectly natural function of the divine process. Eric Butterworth. By the way, when I first met my husband, he was still alive, and we went to his church in New York. And so when my husband and I were in the throngs of love, we went to his service and sat there holding hands, and people around us said, "Oh my gosh, you're just glowing with love." And great. I recommend this book, Spiritual Economics. If you haven't read it, any of you have read this? It's a great book. Highly recommend it. So we're talking about being in that place. And we also talked about that you should know that you can't age out of it. You can't age out of it. You think you can, but you can't. And while you're here, you are a creator. You are a creator, and divinity and God and spirit is flowing through you all the time. All the time. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to do a visioning meditation. And everybody should have, did everybody get one of these little pieces of paper? Everybody? And pencils? Both? All right. Here you go. Okay, so what we're going to do is that you don't have to do anything on this piece of paper until we're done. So you can just sit it down while we do this meditation. Okay? So, let's just enjoy that for a minute. Let's enjoy that knowing that we are divinely guided. There is a blueprint of perfection in each and every one of us. There is a blueprint. I love the idea of a blueprint because I see an architectural drawing, right? And it's saying this is how you go here, do this, do that, and be abundant, be happy, be at peace. So close your eyes and go within. I want you to breathe in for a count of 4 and then hold it for a count of 6. So breathe in, hold. Let go. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 6. Let go. All right. So in your mind's eye, I want you to feel the space around you. Feel this room. Feel the floor at your feet, the chair underneath you. You are solidly supported. You are supported by this divine intelligence. And I want you to visualize this beautiful, beautiful, if you've never been there, you can be creative in your mind's eye, this beautiful field. It's a farm. You are standing on a farm, and you're standing on a dirt path, and at the end of that dirt path, way, way out the distance, are these beautiful, beautiful purple indigo mountains. Could be Santa Fe. So I want you to feel that beautiful sky, and you see that, and you see this beautiful scene around you, and fields and farmland surround you, and you are on a path. You are on the path, dead center on the path, and you begin walking. You begin walking on that path, knowing that you are supported, that this world around you is totally supported. Off in the distance, you hear a crow, and that crow is calling to another crow, and that crow is calling to another, and they're in harmony, and they're in sync, and they're working together, and they're flying across this field. They're demonstrating this creative intelligence of nature. You hear one just flew ahead, and the sound of the wings thrumping in the air. They have all the gifts they need. You realize that crow has all the gifts it needs. It knows how to fly low. It knows how to scour. It knows how to beat those wings and stay safe out in this beautiful world. It has friends that support it. It has community. It has the intelligence of knowing where to find a worm, where to find a beetle. Everything is totally, totally planned out for it. And you keep walking. Because that's what we do. We keep walking. We keep walking. And you're getting closer. You can see the mountains getting a little closer. And the sun is up high, but it's not too hot. It is a perfect day. Everything is perfect. The perfect air, this blue, 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 crisp sky, not a cloud in the sky. Just a beautiful day. The crows are fading off back behind you. And you keep walking, and you see this beautiful vine. This beautiful vine with the scalloped leaf. Rows and rows of vine, vine, vine. And they're all built up on these little dirt hills, and they're growing out, and their roots are perfectly supported in this vine. It's perfectly supported. And this vine has flowers and blooms, and you see fruit ripening. So many big, big cantaloupe. Beautiful cantaloupe. You are in a beautiful Santa Fe sunny day, and those cantaloupes are around you, and you're going to walk down one of those rows. And I want you to visualize and realize that each and every one of those cantaloupes is one of your unique creative abilities. There's not just one. You don't just have one gift. This field does not bearing just one cantaloupe. There are many, many cantaloupes, many gifts. So I want you to visualize your gifts strewn out like that. You have so many talents and so many abilities and so many paths and so many choices. Choices, choices, choices. And you lean down and you pick up one of those cantaloupe. What is it? What gift that you have not been expressing? What talent, what skill, what dream, what desire is there that you have not been expressing? Here it is growing really well. That dream is growing really well. You set it down gently on the ground. You take a few more steps and you think about it. Do I have to leave it there? Do I have to leave my dreams behind? Do I have to continually walk, or can I just trust that that cantaloupe will know exactly what to do, that dream? So you reach over and you see another cantaloupe and you pick it up. Oh, this is another thing, another totally unique talent, something you've been putting off. Why have you been putting that off? Why have you been delaying that decision? Why have you been not doing what you want to do? Because here, it's growing, and it's growing well. And you set it down gently. You just want to see one more. You just want to see one more because there's so many. So many. So you take a few more steps and you pick up another one and you look at it and you realize that it represents and you think, but that's, I can't do that. I don't have what it takes. I don't have what it takes. But you know, that guy up there, that guy on the stage, he just told me it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I don't think I have what it takes. All that matters is that I step into God, I step into Spirit, and Spirit will make it happen. So, I want you to pick one of those cantaloupes, one of those dreams, one of those ideas. I want you to grab it, embrace it, hold it to your breast. Put your hand right now on your heart. Put your hand right now on your heart and say, I embrace all that I am. I embrace divinity within. I embrace this gift from God. I embrace this gift from God. And it'll be easy and fun and attractive and beautiful, and it'll bring me peace and abundance, and it'll flow and it'll work out in perfect harmony. So now, when I ask you to come back to the room, I want you to write that down on the bottom line. You can write down all 3 of your gifts so that you remember, and then I'm going to have you pick one and put it on the bottom. So come back to the room, come back to this space of love, this community, this space of love, and write down what you saw.